Slumber Party is the fourth episode of the fourth season of Full House. This is directed by Zwick, and as always, there will be spoilers from now as I talk about what happens in the episode and share some thoughts. I don't have too many notes. That doesn't mean I didn't enjoy it. I just feel like there wasn't a tremendous amount that I wanted to comment on, but I'll go through the various aspects and I will leave the main part of the narrative until last, as that's where the bulk of my thoughts are. It starts off quite adorably with Michelle building blocks. DJ offers to help her put the last block on the tippy top. After she does this, Michelle decides to demolish the tower, which seems honestly pretty realistic for that kind of scenario. Michelle also needs new clothing, and this comes about because Danny has actually said that they can gut out the attic, and I think this is the first time we've gone to the attic. The attic does go on to be an important part of the set, but I think this is the first time we've been up there, and they're going to turn it into the studio for Jesse and Joey's new advertising company, or the new production company, which is pretty exciting and something that I'm looking forward to seeing develop as we see the attic take shape. And they have a yard sale to sell off some of, what other people will consider to be Danny's junk. And I'm in two minds about this. Part of me isn't surprised that Danny has held on to a lot of things in his attic. Granted, everything is neatly organised in boxes. He knows where all of the junk is. But at the same time, part of me is surprised because that's still clutter. I don't really have any thoughts beyond that, other than when I saw this, my first thought was, I don't know how I feel about that. So if you think it's very typical of Danny, I'd love to know, but if you think it's atypical for him to gather so much junk and clutter, even though it's organised clutter, I'd be very keen to hear if you have any concrete thoughts on that. And Jessie takes Michelle clothes shopping, and she comes back dressed as a mini Jessie, which is absolutely adorable. And what I love most about this is that Danny ends up taking her shopping and she gets a pretty dress, and Michelle says that actually she likes the pretty dress. So even though it's what is expected of her to wear, she's actually happy with that, and I think that that's really sweet. And the dress is gorgeous. The main bulk of the narrative focuses on Stephanie, and she is understandably very unhappy because there's a mother-daughter slumber party for the Honeybees, and obviously she says she doesn't want to go. And this is, of course, because her mother is no longer around. Becky says that she'll take her, problem solved. But unfortunately, Becky phones her at the last minute. She's had car trouble. She's not going to make it back in time. And without missing a beat, without any hesitation, Joey says, I'll take you, which is so sweet. And off they go, and Stephanie is very embarrassed. But Joey is trying his best. He tries to play Barbies and does all of the voices, which is great fun. They tried jump rope, which is actually pretty impressive, I have to say. And it just doesn't work well. Stephanie is not enjoying this and she ends up fleeing. And it's kind of heartbreaking to see. And she goes home and ends up sobbing. And DJ's role in this is so beautiful, because DJ comforts her and obviously tells her that she knows how she feels. And when Stephanie asks her what she does when she feels this way, DJ gives some great advice. And she tells her that she tries to think of things that they have that other people don't have. It's not quite be grateful for what you have. It's definitely more about just trying to focus on the positives to help you get over this bout of negative emotions. And as she points out, they're so lucky to have a father and a Joey and a Jessie, and they have each other. And it's a really lovely moment and really beautiful to see. And I don't know why nobody thought of this before, DJ takes Stephanie to the mother-daughter Honeybee slumber party, which honestly seems like the best case scenario. I mean, going with Becky would have also been great, but going with DJ did make a little bit more sense than going with Joey. But Joey, I think, also did a great thing in volunteering to go when Stephanie felt like she had nobody to take her. And then we end with some delightful comedy, as it seems like Kimmy is alone in the house. No other kid. Well, Michelle's there, but obviously DJ's left. So it's just Kimmy and the boys going to watch Dirty Dancing, and they flee immediately. So I rather liked that. It was great to have Kimmy in this episode. And I think it is a very funny episode at times. But obviously this is a very, very moving episode. And while they don't remind us in every episode that the girls no longer have their mother around, I think they do mention it at a good enough rate that we are reminded that actually this is something that will affect them throughout their life when they have different milestones or different opportunities, like Stephanie with the mother-daughter slumber party. And it's always emotional. It's always really emotional to see, and it's always really well done, and this is no exception. All things considered, I think Slumber Party is a pretty great episode of Full House. I do prefer the ones that are more funny, but when we have an episode like this, I think it's so important, and it does such a great job with the story. Slumber Party is a pretty brilliant episode of Full House.